Okay, so I'm recording right now. So just for the record, this session is to go through all the challenges of day one and try to explain how to solve those challenges. Mostly like going through the basics. I will share my screen. So all of you guys should see my screen. I will restart from almost 0. Okay. Can you guys confirm that you see my screen? I should be on the challenge for day one on GitHub right now.
Yep.
Yep, it's working. Okay, cool.
Yes,
so let's assume I'm a beginner and I'm just reading all of that, trying to understand what I need to do. So first I need to open the guide and the challenge. So I go through the guide, I read like what is here, what is here, 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 and then where is it? Yeah, I try to complete challenge 1 to 4 after making sure I've read all of this. So challenge 1, write a function add that takes 2 natural numbers and returns the sum. So there are several ways to like write the Motoko code. You can create like a new project, call it day one. I probably already has, I already have day one. So let me delete it. So what I've done here for the beginners, I've just run this command which remove the day one folder. So I can run this command. Okay, so while the FX is doing its job, okay, it's ready. I could use the terminal to basically move into day one and then use this command to open VS Code, but I can do it also that way. I just open like a new VS Code. I go here, file, open folder, and I think it's this one. Yeah, should be this one. I think someone is making some noise. Yeah. So once I have the folder with the project templates, I can go into terminal and open a new terminal like that. Once it's done, I can go into source, day one, main.mo. And here I'm pretty much set up to start the challenges. I have the Motoko file where I can remove the function and just write challenge 1. And that's where I will write the functions. So challenge 2 and so on. One thing that would be good is to start a replica. So like that. It's already in use again. Well, I already have my replica started, so I won't bother. But you could start a replica and to deploy on it to test your functions. Okay, so the goal is to write a function called add. So that's the name of the function. And we want to take two nuts. Natural numbers is nut. I should have probably better explained that. And returns the sum. So I'm assuming that you've read the documentation and, okay, sorry. Remove that. Assuming that you've read the daily guide and you know like what is a public function. So public function sum, n of type nut and m of type nut. And I want to return the sum. So I return n plus m. Okay, so if anyone is already confused, please let me know. So we can like go through what I'm doing right now. Otherwise, we can move to the next challenges.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Can you use sum or add after the function? Is that the same thing?
After the function?
Yeah, it says public function, add. I've written add here.
Oh,
can you use
yeah.
that too?
Yeah, sure.
Is that the same? Can you use whatever you want?
No, so I mean, that's not really important, I would say. So I need to zoom. Like, is it better right now? Maybe.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I could totally like put the function like that. Basically, I'm just changing the name of the function, and I mean, it's not really important.
Okay.
It's just that for the people that will call the function. So if I'm using dfx like okay, let's deploy.
Yeah, I think I understand now. I can name that whatever I want. The function, that's the name after. Okay, I understand now. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I remember I read it 2 days ago about this name.
Yeah. So the real challenge one was to call the function add, but I put sum, but yeah, it's the same basically. I mean, it's a problem if you say you're going to have a function called add and you don't have because you have a function called sum. But I mean, in our case, it's not important. Okay.
I just thought it was some. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go on if you have a question. Really?
No, it's all good. All good. Go ahead.
Okay, so next function is the square one. So it's pretty much the same like structure, I mean. Okay, so a few things I'm doing, and I would like all beginners to do as well, is this indentation. So let me explain. So yeah, first, like don't forget the semicolon after each function declaration. So you need like those brackets, and then you need the semicolon. That's just syntax. I mean, it's really not something that you should really be scared about. It's really just a syntax thing in Motoko. Yeah, and the second thing is the indentation. So when you have a function, what is inside the function? So what is inside the brackets? It's called like the scope of the function. And I want everything that is in the scope to be indented. So that's really for clarity purpose, I would say. You could totally like write something like that. It would work. Even something like that, I guess would work. Let me try. Yeah, no, there is some protection in Motoko, I guess. Well, anyway, you got the point. Like, try to indent your functions as much as possible. Keep like everything structured, you know. For one line of code, it's not that important, but you will see later that it's really important. Okay, so next challenge is to take a natural number again. So n, which is here, and returns the number, no, and returns the area of the square of length n. So it's just basic geometry, but if you have a square with length n, the area of the square is n multiplied by n. So that's just what we are looking to do here. And that's the star is the symbol to do a multiplication in Motoko and almost all programming languages. Doing that wouldn't work. The x is considered as a like the letter x, not the multiplication. Okay, so any question so far as well for the square?
Not a question about the square necessarily, but do we have to get done with all the challenges and then try to execute them on the terminal to see if they run, or can we do it one by one?
No, you can do it like totally one by one. So let's try to deploy, and you're right, let's test our functions. So I've deployed my canister, day one.
So saving to Visual Studio isn't enough. We have to deploy the canister again, correct?
Yeah, you can just save to VS Code, you know. But if you want to test, you need to deploy the canister. But sorry, is it the question like yeah, can you clarify the question?
Yeah, because so before clicking deploy, we save to Visual Studio, right? So do we have to, like, is it enough to just save to Visual Studio Code, or do we have to deploy again? That's, I don't know if that's clear enough.
Like, yeah, if you want to test, you have to deploy, because the canister, like this canister that we are going to call, so Motoko, no, it's not Motoko, it's called day one, and we call it, we want to call add with like 1 and 1. And we want to test that we got 2. So it seems to work. So the canister we are calling right now, it's basically deployed on the local replica. But I mean, this canister doesn't know if you are doing something here. Like if you write something like public function new that returns, I don't know, a text, return hello, and then you try to call this function like that, the replica returned an error. This canister has no update method new. That's because, like, I mean, the actual file, the Motoko file, the canister doesn't really care about that. The only thing the canister cares about is the module that is deployed inside the canister. That's inside the .dfx folder, local canister day one. There is this WASM, which is like the WebAssembly module, but yeah, we don't really need to care about that. But yeah, so to answer your question, if you just save the file and you don't deploy, it won't affect the canister. You need to redeploy every time to actually test it. Right.
So I have another question here, but I don't want to take too much time. Can we do like some troubleshooting at the end?
Yeah, maybe. It will depend on like how much time this session take.
Okay, great.
I'll be able to stay after a little bit more after Seb. So
okay, great.
If you after he leaves, I can hop out. So.
I need to change my mic because my MacBook is almost at 0 at battery. I need to try something. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to challenge number 3. Let's remove that. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who are wondering what I'm doing here with this notation, it's called a comment. It's really useful when you are writing a bunch of code. you want to provide some comments to basically to the people that are going to read your code, or even you, like in the future where you are going to review your code. You can add some comments so you can explain what you are doing. Here it's pretty straightforward, I mean, but in bigger application, it's important. Okay, so days to second takes a number of day n and returns the number of seconds in those days. That's not very clear. I don't know who made those challenges, but not very good. So days to second. So that's the same as always. We take this nut and we return another nut. And so this time we have only one parameter. So we have 24 hours in a day. In 1 hour, we have 60 minutes. And in 60 minutes, we have 60 seconds. So that's it. We return this value. Okay, so all those challenges are pretty similar, I would say. It's just like you take some variables and you return something based on the variable. Here you have like 2 variables. Here you have only 1. Here you have only 1, but you have to multiply with some constant values. Okay, so any question? Maybe we want to try deploying and see what is happening. So we've already tested the add function. Let's try to test the square. So the square of 3 should be 9. Let's see. Yes, seems to work. And I have no idea. Maybe I know. I have no. I don't know how much days there is. How much seconds.
Hey Seb, I have a question. I see that there's an auto save feature in VS Code. Do you recommend using that, or does it matter, or personal preference, or?
Oh, yeah, you can use it in the beginning. I don't use it personally. I use the shortcut. If you, so I am on Mac, but it should be Control S on Windows, Command S on Mac. If you press that, it will just save the file you are on, and you can actually see that. I should have explained that. Like if I write something, challenge 4, you will notice that I have this icon, like the file with this little one, and it means that I have one file that is not saved. It has been modified, but it has not been saved. And if I press Command S, it disappears because this file is saved. So I don't know. I've never used the autosave function, but I guess it's okay. And I would recommend the shortcut though. But I mean, I don't think it matters that much. Okay, so what I've done. Oh yeah, so really stupid mistake. I forgot the S, days to second. So of course there is no days to second, but there is a days to seconds. Okay, so we have that number of seconds in a day. That's great to know. Let's move to challenge 4. So the challenge 4 was actually like one step above the first 3 challenges, because here you, and I think I should do a better job at explaining the challenge 4. You have increment counter and clear counter, which are 2 functions that are using the same variable, and this variable is called the counter. So let's do it. Create an immutable variable. Mutable, immutable has been explained in a previous lecture, but basically immutable means a variable that you cannot change, like you cannot reassign a new value inside. Whereas mutable, you can always reassign a new value. So we use the var keyword, var counter of type nut, and let's say we start with 0 as always. Okay, so now I want to create the increment increment counter, public func increment counter. Yeah. And I want to return the incremented value of counter by n. So it means I need to add n, to the counter, like that, add n to the counter, and return the value of the counter. So we will return a nat again. Let's try to increment the counter. So counter, okay. So reassign a new value. This is how you would do it. By the way, everything that is explained here is also explained in the daily lesson, but counter, if I do that, the value of the counter will be 10. If I do that, the value of the counter will be, I don't know, 80. You can always reassign a new value. I think someone is trying to talk. No. Okay.
We don't have to put our hands up to talk, so it's probably just mic.
Yeah, you're right. So what we want to do is add n. So we just reassign the value of the counter to counter plus n. And I've shown a shortcut. You can also shortcut. You can also do something like shortcut. Counter, like that. It's exactly the same as like those lines are exactly the same. It's just this line is a shortcut. It's a syntax thing. Okay, so does someone notice a problem with what I've done right now?
Is it that there's no is it that there's no we're not returning the counter?
Exactly. So I forgot to return the counter. And actually, if I try to deploy this canister, I will get something which is type error. So it's really something you will probably see a lot. It's saying that an expression of type parenthesis cannot produce a nat. This is because basically a function is always returning something. And if you don't specify what to return, it will just return like implicitly like that. This is exactly the same as doing that, just return. But you return nothing. So this is nothing, and nothing is not something of type nat, if that's clear. So let's return the counter of type nat.
Don't you also have to, I don't know what it's called, maybe declaring the counter variable and setting it to 0 before you?
Yeah, that's what we've done here.
You did that
and
there, okay, I see it.
Yeah, we need that, otherwise this wouldn't work.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to deploy, and I'm going to try to increment the counter. Okay, so does someone has an idea of like what is going to be returned when I press enter?
81.
You haven't defined how many times to increment.
No, it's gonna
Okay.
return,
No?
return 80 because you changed it to 80. No?
Needs to be 81. It's gonna increment starting from 80.
It's gonna return 81 then, right?
Yeah, I got some 2 good answers. Yeah, 81. So for those of you who didn't got that, it's because here I'm creating the counter, then just after I'm setting the counter to 10, and then I'm setting the counter to 80. So when the program starts, when the canister is deployed, all the code is going to run once. It's going to run like line by line. So those lines aren't going to do anything. It's just function declaration. But those lines are going to be executed, and the counter is going to be set to 0, then to 10, and then to 80. So when I call my function, it's already to 80, and I increase it by 1, so it's 81.
And I guess if you run it again, it will still be 81 instead of counting.
If I run this command again,
Yep.
so you think it will be 81 again?
I do, because if it starts at the beginning, it's gonna set counter to 80 and then increment by 1, right?
82.
No.
This is because the code here is going to be executed only once when the canister is deployed. So yeah, basically when the canister is deployed, it reads everything that is here, and it creates the interface for the function to be called later.
Okay.
And everything that is not in a function, so every variable declaration, basically that's all. there is a function declaration and variable declaration. You can also do some other tricky thing, but for the moment we have just variable declaration and function declarations. And so all the variable declaration are going to be executed once. So this code is executed. This code is executed, but only when the canister is deployed. So it won't be 81 every time I call the counter, because this line is only executed once.
Makes sense.
But if I do something like that, yes, then oh shit. Yeah, then it should be 81 every time. I can try to increment, but it's not working for sure. Okay, so we have the increment counter. Let's remove those reassignments. Let's keep the counter. I'm just putting everything into, actually there is a better way to do it. If you want a multi-line comment, you can do something like that. Okay, wait. Again, this is just some syntax. Okay, so now we want the reset. No, it's clear counter. And actually, we don't want to return anything. Let's do it that way. I don't know if it only specifies that the function needs to set the value of counter to 0, but it doesn't specify anything about the return value. So we could actually do whatever we want. So let's do it like that. So the counter is set to 0, and then we return. Is it clear for everyone that the return type of this function is actually like nothing, like just that? Compared to here, we have returned a nat, here a nat as well. Is it clear to everyone?
No, why don't, I mean, it works when you just put nat instead of the parentheses, right?
No, it won't. If I do that, this won't work, because
It's not returning the counter, right? It's just returning.
it's just returning. Basically, the function just indicates, okay, I'm done, but I have nothing. I have nothing to give you. I have no value to return. It just returns. And when you do something like that, the return type is this one. It's just like meaning nothing.
Mine shows, what is different? Why is mine working?
Did it have to deal with because nat is a natural number, and because the we don't have a natural number defined?
Oh, we do have a we do have a.
Sorry, that it's an immutable number, and because a counter is adding, or sorry, because that's a mutable number, and because a counter is adding, it becomes immutable.
No, it doesn't become immutable. You cannot. I mean, you can, but it's very specific function. By default, you like a variable function cannot be switched to a mutable variable. So yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that here we return the counter, and counter is of type nat, so we have this return value, this return type, sorry. But here we just return. I mean, I could also do that if that's like better for you, if you.
Okay.
I could do that. I could do that totally. But I mean, the function here, the challenge only says set the value of counter to 0. It doesn't say like return something. Here it says returns the value of the counter incremented by n. Here it says just set the value. So I could also do something like that, and I would still like. I would still like solve the challenge, you know. That would work. Oh no, not this one. Yeah. Okay, so any other question?
Why is there a slash in there when you?
Yeah, it's just terminal way of like, it's just a terminal thing. It's not really important.
But are you saying that if we do use nat and return counter, that would be answering the problem incorrectly?
No, actually, I think that's just that the problem is not clear enough, I would say. But
okay.
I mean, this function is respecting all the everything that is written here. So, but even if you return the nat, it's respecting the contract as well. So, yeah.
In the documentation, it shows that when they use the call, when we use the call function, they're putting the semicolons and then putting the type in the brackets. How comes we don't have to do? Is that just an optional thing to do
like that? Like that,
so
you mean?
For example, when you called clear counter day one clear counter just now, on the official site it would have the text in there like you have it, but then it would also have colon space text also in the, like, to define that it's a text.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
and I'm just wondering, how is there cases when we have to always put that in, or is it just is it done implicitly and it's just if we want to explicitly?
Yeah, it's done implicitly. So the format for arguments is quite flexible, I would say. You are not like forced to specify, except if it doesn't work and the terminal, the defx tell you like, please specify the type or I need more information. But by default, it will just do it for you. You don't need to. I could do that totally. It would work as well. But I don't really need to do it. Wait, what I've done here. That's really strange. Shouldn't work. Why is it working? Okay, so yeah, so the arguments are really flexible apparently. So I can do that. So I'm trying to call this function, and I have no argument to pass, so I can just write it that way, and it's working. I could also do it like that, and it's also working. And apparently, I've just discovered that you can also do that, and it's also working. Yeah, okay, I think I know why, but it would require in-depth explanation of Candid. So to answer your question, you can specify the type if you want to, but most of the time it's not necessary. But you can do it because I think it's good for you to also like always think that this variable is of type text, this variable is of type not, and so on. Does it answer the question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so maybe we move to challenge 5. Okay, so write a function divide that takes 2 natural number. Okay, so let's taking 2 natural number n, m, and I return a Boolean indicating if n divides m. So what is a Boolean? It's indicated in the guide as well. I think it's here. So we have a type in Motoko which is called bool. If you've never like coded with any language, it's maybe sounds a bit odd, but it's really, really, really useful. So let A of type bool equal true, and let B of type bool equal false. So that's just a type. Let me write it, Boolean type. It's just a type like text, like not, everything we've seen so far. But this type is a bit special because it has only 2 values, and the 2 values are true or false. Pretty straightforward, I would say.
Sorry, what's the difference between a var and a let again?
Okay, so var is mutable, so I can reset the value.
Let is immutable. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let me do it.
No, I get it.
You get it. Okay, so the counter cannot be a let because we want to change the value of the counter. So if I would do it with a let counter equals 0, it wouldn't work here because I cannot change the value of the counter. So I need a var here. But here I'm just trying to, like, I could also have a var, but I'm just trying to explain like the Boolean type. So I will go with a let. Okay, so the Boolean type is really useful because we can use it with a if statement. So okay, first I want to return a bool. That's what the challenge 5 is about, returning a Boolean. And I want to check if m divides n. So yeah, this one is a bit tricky. I'm really challenging you, I think. So there is something called the modulo operator. And the modulo operator is this operator. And this operator, you can actually look on the internet. So let's do it. Modulo explained. Yeah, I think I've tried to explain it somewhere in the daily guide, but I think this explanation was really bad. Yeah, actually, it doesn't load. Let me explain it for you. So modulo, you have two, you have like the division operator. For for example, if you have, yeah, I don't have anything to drink, but so the division is, I think you're pretty familiar with it. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So that's easy. The problem is that when you are dividing like natural numbers, let's say you have something like that, 7 divided by 2. So 7 divided by 2, it's 3.5, right? But the problem is that when I'm dividing a nut and a nut, I want also the result to be a nut. So I will just take the tree. It's like when you are in when you are a child, when you do a division, there is the remainder. So the remainder is 1, and that's what the modulo is. It's the remainder. So if you do that, it will be 1 here. So let's take a break with that, with the divide, and let's move to mod. So let's say I have A of type nut, and I have B of type nut. And I will just return A modulo B.
So wait, so the modular operator just returns whatever total value couldn't be divided into a whole number.
Yeah, it's like when you are at school, you have like I think in English it's Euclidean division. You have like the remainder when you do a division. You only like you have on one side you have like the actual, like if you divide 10 by 2, for example, you get 5, but you have no remainder. But if you divide 11 by 2, you get 5, but you have a remainder of 1, because you cannot like go into the float, the decimal part and everything,
So why are you using the percent instead of the divide by?
So those are 2 like completely different operators. So
You
one,
just explained it. Okay, I'm sorry. I was spacing out. So percent is the modulo operator. Okay.
yeah, it's a bit strange. It's not like a percent, it's a modulo. So let's try it. Like let's call, I don't know, mode of like 25 with 5. What do you guys think it's going to return?
0.
Yeah, because 5 divides 25. What's going to return 10 and 2?
0
as well, because 2 divides 10.
So it'll basically will it only return? Can it only return one, either 1 or 0? Or can
No. Let me do something like completely random. Yeah, so apparently if you divide 1783 divided by 234, the remainder is 145. Yeah, it's always returning the remainder. So maybe with something a bit simpler, I don't know. 6 with 4. Yeah, let's do that. So it should return 2, because if you try to divide 6 by 4, you get 1 4, but then you get a remainder of 2, and you cannot divide, like you cannot go further. So you just get the remainder, which is 2. Yeah, is it clear for everyone? Please don't hesitate to like look on the internet for modulo operator, because it's not something Motoko related. It's very general programmation stuff.
Okay, so it is a programming concept. It's not like I can pull that up in Excel and
Oh, you can do it in Excel. It's very common. Like it's
really?
I'm
All the years I've used Excel, I've never known that. That's wild.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's in Excel because it's really like basic operators of the.
Sure, makes
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah, actually, you can use it like for a lot of. I don't know if you're trying to. You know, you have like a bunch of expenses and don't know what you're trying to do, but maybe you're trying to get what you got at the end of the year. It could be used for that. Okay, so that's the mode. Let's try the div. So the div is more, I guess, easy to grasp, maybe. It's just division of A divided by B. Oh, sorry, I should put the return. Yeah, it worked without the return. That's also something Motoko specific. Yeah, but
So up above, you defined A and B as Booleans, and now you're using them as variables.
oh yeah, okay. So the arguments here are totally not like the it. How could I explain that? So the variables inside the canister, it's really important. Like if you're saying like, okay, this is A, this is B, this is C, you cannot mix things up. Like you need to respect what you've done previously. But with the functions, it's very different because those parameters have only meaning here in the div function. So A, B, when I call the div function, sorry, the person which is calling the div function is going to call div with 2 arguments. And I'm saying, okay, whatever you put here, it's A, and whatever you put B, it's whatever you put in the second argument is B. But I could do like something crazy like that. Like I could totally do something like that.
Wait, so
And
the
you-
A and B that you're putting in the argument is not the same as the let A and B. It's like completely different.
It's
completely
completely different, and yeah.
So like
Maybe.
normally, is that a naming convention thing? Like, would you just not name them A and B just to not make it confusing then? Or is that just like, is that?
Yeah. So there are confusions. There are conventions to respect. Usually, if you're talking about natural number, you use n and m. That's way better than what I was doing. N and m, sorry, represents natural number in general. X and y represents float. So float are the numbers with the decimal parts. We will see that later. Yeah. If you want to.
So what's a natural number then? If it's not a float?
A natural number is a natural number. It's a nut.
Is it an integer?
Yeah, no, okay, so let's make another. Let's make some space here. You have the nut, you have the int, you have the float. Nut is a natural positive number, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on.
Whole numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You can go to whatever value you want. Int is also minus, like it's minus whatever. Sorry, like minus. Basically, it's the nut plus the negative number. So this one is an int. This one is also int. This one is an int. This one is an int, and so on. And you can also notice that all nuts are int, because like int is just nut plus the negative numbers. And then float, it's those number basically, like, you know, sorry, I'm mixing up. It's those number like with the decimal parts.
So does this mean you're going to get an error on the division if it's not a whole number?
No, because that's how the division operator works. Let me show you. So maybe I should keep that somewhere. I will put it here. Boolean type. Yeah. Division operator modulo. So yeah. Yeah, we seem to have a problem.
You're missing a semicolon behind return on the modular.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the problem. Expression of type bool cannot return. Oh yeah. Wait, what?
Oh, you're returning A divided by B instead of N divided
Oh
by.
yeah, exact. Yeah, I was confused by those variables. Yeah, okay. So let's try the div one. If we try to divide, I don't know, 10 by 2 again, should return 5. And if we don't have like if we try to divide 4 by 3, it will just return the nut, like the not.
It's rounding.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking
Rounding
for that.
up
Thanks.
or down?
Yeah, it's rounding. Like it's just saying like basically because you have the modulo to get the remainder. This function will not. It's not like an exact division. You know, it won't create a float and say, okay, it's 3.5 or 3.25 or whatever.
Does it round up or down?
So it's. I mean, it's not rounding. It's just saying that. You can in 4 you have like 3 ones plus 1, which is the remainder. So let me show you another example. Maybe 10 divided by 3.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
It's 3 times, and you have the remainder, and the remainder is like it should be 1, of course.
Can you do 5 divided by 3?
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think it will return?
1.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, so it's always rounding down because it's basically the maximum whole numbers that you can get by the division, and it's completely excluding the remainder.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so is it clear for everyone?
Yeah.
Yes, but we need the Boolean function then.
Yeah.
Solve
the problem. Yep.
We still have something else to do. Okay, so yeah, we want to return a Boolean indicating if m divides m. Oh yeah, I should have been more nice. Yeah. So actually, I will let those functions. Maybe it's useful for someone. So let's move to Boolean.
Basically, if mod is greater than 0, then it's a
Exactly. That was the point of this question. So there is something in. I will make a both as well, and I will start a new function. No, okay. Sorry, guys. So there is something which is called an if statement, and basically you can test a condition. So if n I'm just gonna test something. I think I've explained that as well on the guide somewhere, for sure. Let's return some text. I want this function to test if the values that are like n and m that are provided are equal. I can do something like that. So if n equals m, then do something else, do another thing. So this operator, the double equal, is not the same as this one. This one is like assign this value, assign this value. This one is, okay, test if n is equal to n. And then I will return something like n is equal to n. And I can return, in the other case, n is not equal to n. So let's test this function. So 5 and 5 should return n is equal to n. But 3 and 5, n is not equal to n. So yeah, I don't know exactly like if there is something to explain more. It's just that like if this condition is matched, so if this one is true, then we do that. If it's not, we do that.
Yeah, it makes sense. If the condition is met, then take this action.
Exactly. You need to look at it like a program, like a code, a function is going to run really like one step at a time, you know. It's going to look at like the first part of the code. It's saying, okay, so if n is m, let me do that. If not, I will do that. And yeah, that's it basically. And here you can put any condition you want. So if you say if true, then it will be basically executed every time because true is always true. And so, sorry. So here we've broken our function because it always returns the same thing, which is n is equal to m. We can test with whatever we want. It doesn't change anything because we have hard-coded true. If we put it false, it would be the other way around, but we put it a condition, which is n equals to m. So this, like this syntax exactly, is going to check if n is equal to m. If it's equal, it's going to return true. If it's not equal, it's going to return false. And then the if statement is processed.
So it is, if you return text that says false, are you returning the Boolean of false, or are you just returning text that says false?
So we could do something like this. Yeah, it's a bit mixed up. So let's rename the function to something more clear. So the function is equal. If n is equal to m, then we return true. If not, we return false. So this function is working. Yes. It's working, but it's not really returning a Boolean. It's returning a text for sure. If you want the Boolean, you remove the you write it that way, like that. And then you can see if I try to deploy, literal of type bool does not have expected type text because I'm saying I'm returning a text, but it's not true. I'm returning a Boolean here. So I put it that way. And then again. And that's it. This time, I will get a Boolean true and false. Okay, so is it clear for everyone? Any question on that?
I think it's clear. I think the question, don't you want it to be n equal to 0? And then
yeah, so yeah, so basically to answer the challenge, you need to put everything we've discussed together and write it, like combine all those knowledge, this knowledge into one function. So we've seen that if m divides n, it means that the modulo is 0, basically. The remainder is 0 because that's basically the definition of dividing something. So what we want to do is test if the modulo if the modulo is if the modulo is 0, then we return true.
Could you also write it so that, like, for example, could you do if n divided by m returns a natural value, then the Boolean would be true too? Could that also work?
So you want me to do it the other way around, I guess, like that. So like if the Boolean is
So
more,
like if there's a way for you to code it, so like basically if n divided by m returns a nat and not a, oh no, because it would always return a nat, wouldn't it? Because even if
yeah, it always returns a nat. So I can let's say remainder of that nat is equal to n modulo m. Like that. So what I'm doing right now is just adding more steps to the algorithm, but it doesn't really change anything. I'm just adding more to be clear about what I'm doing. So I'm taking the remainder, and then I'm trying if remainder is equal to 0, then return true, else return false. And yeah, I could, like, the remainder is not really useful. I could directly put this expression here. It would work. It's just maybe more clear like that. Okay. I could also do just that. Yeah, let's remove that. I could do return n modulo m is equal to 0. That would work as well. It's really really short, but it's working. It's because n divided by m is returning a nat, and then we are checking if this nat is equal to 0, and then we are returning a Boolean. So this is exactly what we're trying to do. Let me show you. Okay, unexpected token, line 62. Yeah, I have this. Wait.
is it good practice to do the extra lines of coding to make it more, I don't know, human readable, or the short form like this?
No, so I mean, someone experimented would probably do that, and everyone reading it will understand, because that's something you will run into really regularly. But I think for a beginner, it's more. I will not, like, give the solution like that, and just tell nothing. I think it's better to explain what is happening. But just to show you, like 6 divided by 3, it's working. So just like you can believe me, it's working. So is it clear for everyone that this syntax is working?
I see it, but I would not have been able to read that. So basically what you're saying is you don't need to use the if, then else. You just, somehow it knows.
Yeah. But this is very specific to this question. Because, yeah, what I'm trying to explain is that the if, basically this condition is saying that if this condition, I think the more I try to explain it, the more complicated it becomes. So
we already told it to return a Boolean, and so it's going to try and return a Boolean if it can. And so since we told it run this math, it's able to kind of extrapolate without us like verbosely. It can assume the answer is a Boolean, and that's why it returns it. But I agree, I would not have been able to divine that if I didn't watch him build it out in front of me.
So if you say that you want to return something else,
it has a yes or no answer, right? So it will be able to return, you know,
yeah,
true or false.
Just to answer to what has been said before, like the fact that you are saying that you want to return a Boolean doesn't change what Motoko is doing. Motoko will not like force something to change a type if it notices that the return function is something. Motoko will just throw you a nice error like that. Expression of type bool cannot produce expected type text. So this is always a Boolean. Whatever you do, this expression is always a Boolean. Yeah, just to make it clear, like maybe it was like a good idea. It was from Jesse, I think. But no, Motoko doesn't do that. It would be very, very dangerous to do something like that, like to force a type when the return of a function is that, and like if the return is something else, you would switch to another type. Yeah, doesn't work like that. Yeah, so let's maybe stay with the long function, which is I've broke up everything. So let me do it again. And actually, one last thing, you can remove the else. This is because, this is going to work as well. Like if you imagine what it's like to trying to like be the function and execute this code, basically what you're doing is you calculate the remainder, then you check if the remainder you have is equal to 0. If it's the case, then you return true. And when you return something, you stop the function. Like you go out of the function and you just return something. So you won't basically go here. But if you don't go inside, then you will go here, you will jump this block and you will return false. So you can also do it like that. But just to make it clear, we can stay like that. So yeah, I hope it's not confusing, but just to show you that like you can use different syntax and so on, as long as your function return the nice type, the right type, and it respects like the convention that we've set. Any question?
Yeah, I'm not quite. So I've got if parentheses n divided by or percent m equals 0, close parentheses, and then you're doing the open bracket and then return true. Your true is not in parentheses. Is there? it was in previous discussions.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not necessary.
Yeah, again, I've like basically since the beginning, I've tried to always put the parentheses because I think it's clearer to really like separate everything and say, okay, I return that everything that is inside the parentheses. But Motoko, like it can knows like what you're going to return. It's just syntax again, like you don't necessarily need the parentheses. But yeah, if you prefer, really let the parentheses, like it doesn't matter, doesn't change.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to know when the parentheses and the brackets are required.
Yeah, don't worry, that's normal. I'm still struggling sometimes.
You could you also do what you did before? So could you like declare the A and B as booleans, and then in your return just put A and then B in those two brackets instead?
Yeah, I could do that. Oh, okay. You want me to do something like that? Okay, I don't know exactly what you want me to do, but I could do something like that and return A, I guess. Yeah, it's A here, and return B here. I could do that, yes. That's completely correct.
Okay,
It's
yeah, that's what I wanted, yeah.
It's just that, like, it doesn't make sense to do that because you just put
It's
more
already
lines.
defined.
Yeah. But yeah, it would work for sure. Okay, so I guess that's it for challenge 5. It's done. Yeah, the is even function is really yeah, it's really just I mean, it's not really something that I should have asked again. No, I mean, the challenges are good, but I was maybe a bit like it was maybe too much for the first day. So we're trying to check if a number is even, and basically what I wanted you to do is something like this. So we are diving into something that is completely that we haven't done so far. We are using a private function. I'm just going to copy that. Yeah. Actually, let me remove that because I think it's more confusing than it should be. So we have a function that tests if m divides n. I will put that in comments. So this function is private. I told you like in the first lecture that if a function is private, you don't need the async keyword. This is because this function cannot be called from the outside. It can only be called by like the code we are running. So like if the okay, so what I want to do is something like that. I want to use this function here. Like I want to do if n, like if you can divide n by 2, then I want to return true. Else I want to return false. Sorry, I forgot. Return, else return false. So so is it clear to everyone that if you have a number and you want to test if it's even, it's the same thing as trying to test if the number is you can divide the number by 2. It's completely equivalent. So that's more something mathematic related, I guess. But anyway, what I'm trying to do here is use this function. When the public function isEven is called, this code is going to be executed. And I don't need the divide function to be async because it's my own code that is going to execute the function. So I know that like I can do it right away. Like if the function tell me, okay, go to this function, I will do it because it's in the code. So I don't need to wait for someone else to proceed. Sorry. So it's not async. If it's confusing for you, and it might be, public function are async, private function are not. That's almost always the case. Like it's always the case. So I can try to use this function.
Do we need to nest like the division in that divide, or could we just do if? And like, does it have to be nested like that with the n?
No. No, you're right. I could totally do something like this. Return that. Is it what you mean? No, maybe that not what you meant. I don't know. What was your question exactly?
So I mean, if you compare it to the one before, so like if you compare it to the if statement you did for reminder, right? It's like if reminder equals 0. But this is like if divide, and then there's another thing like nested inside of that. So like, is that required like for us to nest it like that?
Oh, okay. So when I want to like call the divide function, you know, I can do something like that. So divide, I don't know, let's say n is equal to 10 and m is equal to 2. That's how you would call the divide function. So yeah, you would basically write that. And you could put the result into a variable, like result equals divide 10 to 2.
Is that function actually dividing? I thought you needed the / to divide.
Oh no, okay. It's because the function, I think you're confused because I'm talking about this function. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the function we've created that takes 2 nat and returns a bool. So this function, it basically tests if 2 divide 10.
Okay, so it's recalling the old function we already made that checks for a whole number and is using that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm calling this function, you know. I'm using this function, but I'm not using this one. Yeah, I know it's confusing because you have the division operator, the div function. I should do something else, like yeah, I will try another function. So let's create a function, a private one that sum to number. No, I don't know, add 1. So it takes a nat and it returns another nat, and it returns this nat plus 1. let's say I want to create a variable. I could create a variable of type nut, and it would be add 1 to 5. So this would be 6. To go step by step, what the code is doing is that it's checking that add 1 is a function. So here it knows that it's putting 5 as argument, and it's returning 5 plus 1. 5 plus 1, yes, here. So it's saying let a. It's exactly the same as saying, you know, like that. This is the same. Those two are the same. Okay. So I think I've gone a bit too far in terms of what I was trying to explain, just to answer your question. Okay, so what I wanted to do.
Makes sense. It's just, it's a bit harder. Like I need to, obviously, because you're calling the other function and it's doing something. So it's just like I need to wrap my head around that is doing a step with, it's just, yeah, it's just, I'll get it, but it'll take me a bit of time.
Yeah. So what I was trying to do is create the function is even. So we want to test if a number is even. So just take a number again of type nut, and we want to return a boolean. And this time it's async because it's a public function again. So yeah, basically we just want to try to divide this number by 2. So let me do something like let is this number divided by 2 equals this, and then return like if this is true, then return true. If it's not, return false. Okay. Yeah, maybe it's not clear right now. Please tell me, because I have no way to know.
Like, is there a way for you basically to solve the puzzle, the challenge for question 6 without using the previous bit of code you've written for challenge 5?
Exactly. Yeah, I could do something like that.
If you could show us that, it would be a bit more straightforward.
That I will put the parentheses. Yeah, this would work as well. So what I'm doing, I'm testing like if the remainder of n divided by 2 is equal to 0. If it's the case, I return true. If it's not, then I return false. And this is, yeah, this is basically equivalent to saying like, is this number even? Is this number divisible by 2? This is exactly what I'm saying here. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, yeah, it's just because when you was using the other previous rule to then solve the second one, it was like it got a bit complex. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe it was a bit too early to like call another function. I don't need to do it. It's just that I wanted to show you. Okay, guys. What about so? Yes, it's a bit messy now. Let's clean this code. Okay, so
Got a new problem in that I can no longer get it to deploy without errors. And I've even commented out all of challenge 6.
Okay, so
sorry, all of challenge 5.
what is
and-
the message?
So it starts deploying the canisters, building front end, and then it says error, the build step failed for canister with an embedded server. And then it starts the command, and then it gives a long address. It's a bunch of gobbledygook after that.
Yeah, there may be like at the end of the garbage, there might be like an error message more specific to what you're doing. Maybe you can just post a screenshot. I don't know if that's possible in Zoom, in the chat. And yeah, by the way, guys, I'm not really like, I'm not, I've just like the past few months when I discovered the internet computer, it was 1 year ago, and I've just learned as much as I can. But there are way better developers than me.
Nah, you're still pretty good, man. Don't sell yourself short.
Your example is very admirable. I'm impressed with what you've accomplished.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so if you can just put the screenshot, I could maybe help. Or if you have more specific error, because yeah, right now I don't know what's the problem exactly. It could be so many different things.
I'm about to drop it in with the Zoom. I don't know if you can drop pictures in. No, you can't drop pictures in. I don't know how to do it.
Hey, Seb, I just want to ask, so this stuff isn't due till end of day tomorrow, is that right?
Yeah, you have still tomorrow to like get your head around everything.
So I want to maybe suggest we're coming up on like 10 hours here since we started this morning. Do we want to maybe try and do a little bit of a break? I've also been told that when we get into arrays, it's going to be extra complicated too, and maybe give you a little time to get prepared, and we can come back tomorrow after tomorrow morning's sessions or something like that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to sleep as well, for sure. We need a break, especially if you've been there since like the first meeting and following everything.
I think everyone here has. So
yeah, okay, guys, we need a break.
I don't want to shut down the productivity, but I know my brain is turning to mush, and I don't want to waste your time or have to ask for repeats or something.
Yeah,
that it might
glad
be.
you said that actually.
I think
that's a good idea.
So maybe we'll leave questions for you to review in the morning in our chat, and then you can just post when we want to kind of resume this, and that'll give you a little more time to kind of get stuff collected too, so that you're not quite on the fly.
Yeah, you're right. Let's do that. So if you have any issue, so please read like the README in the GitHub and follow the instructions for the if you have any problem. The first thing you should do is go on Google and just search for it. Then ask your team, and really, if you are stuck, like post something on the GitHub discussion. But please don't send any DM to mentors or anything. People are quite occupied.
Sorry, Seb, can you just
go ahead.
Seb, could you just paste the quicker version of solving that last issue that you had where you called the previous function, so I could see that? Like, could you put it below that one? Could you put it the faster way where it calls challenge 5 to solve it?
Yeah, by the way, it's not more fast. Like it's shorter, but it doesn't mean it's faster. I don't even know if it's faster or not. Yeah, I will do that. So Wenzel, your error, it's saying that at line 26, in the main.mo file, you have a problem of syntax. You have equal that is here, but is not expected. So you should check line 26. There is something wrong. And it's for everyone to, when you have an error message, usually if it's syntax related, you will get the line printed. So that's really useful, because if you are working like on a long project and you have like, I don't know, 200 lines and you have a problem and you don't know where it's coming from, it's really useful to, you know, look at this line. The problem will be solved.
So that's, okay, I see the line that says syntax error M0001, but you're saying that because before that it says 26.13-26.14.
Yeah, it's
that 26 tells me what line?
The 26 is the line, and the 13, 14 is the character, like exactly what the character is causing an issue. But usually I just look at the line, because I don't like count the character, you know.
So that particular line says counter equals counter plus n semicolon.
Yep, I think you're using
I probably need the colon, don't I?
exactly, because otherwise you would, like, it wouldn't be the assignment operator. It would be just the equal, and you can't do that, basically.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I'm saying people complaining about arrays. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it for tonight.
Seb, I just want to thank you again on behalf of everyone for really going above and beyond. We super appreciate your time here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks,
Yeah.
guys. I hope it's useful, and I really hope like at least some of you are going to like, even if it's hard to like keep trying, because yeah, I'm really scared that like all the beginners drop or anything, you know. It's really difficult to like try to teach people in 1 week something that like people sometimes take 5 years to complete a degree in computer science and everything, you know. But I think you can still follow and have some fun. And if you want to, you know, after the bootcamp, keep on learning, you can do it.
Yeah. You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, 100%. So, sorry, Seb, please could you finish showing the
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah, you wanted
Sorry,
this
I just
one.
want to look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was okay, so I was trying to do something like that. And shoot. Are you taking notes or something like that?
Yeah, it's just useful for me to look at that way and then look at the other way you did it, and then I can start like wrapping my head around it a lot better just by like, you know, just staring at the code and just working through it in my own head. So yeah, it helps a lot.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, have a good night, guys, and see you probably tomorrow. I don't know if I have a lecture tomorrow, but I will probably do a challenge 6 to 10, maybe. Yeah. See you guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, so bye.
Yeah, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.